Ferrari is in the eye of the storm, but according to Frederic Vasseur, nothing is lost yet in the 2025 Formula One Championship. The season is very long, and the SF25 is actually much better than what has been seen on track. This is his belief. There are some issues that, according to the Frenchman, will soon be resolved. Moreover, the inability to optimize results in the first two races of the season has made the situation appear worse than it is. Patience is needed according to the team principle of the Prancing Horse. It is the virtue of the strong, and it must necessarily accompany the historic team in the coming steps. Before delving into certain aspects of this situation, it is worth focusing on the issue of criticism. Ferrari cannot expect that no one will judge the team for the poor results it has delivered. And it is not a matter of bias or resentment. The Maranello team cannot and must not allow itself to fall into certain situations, and yet, as we have long known, it often finds itself trapped in these decisive dead ends. Blunders that are unacceptable for such a prestigious and important team. What we do not understand, for example, is the tendency to deny reality. Did Ferrari try to isolate itself during the winter? No one is saying otherwise, and that was fine. Did Lewis Hamilton bring great enthusiasm? True, and thankfully so. That is why the streets around Fiorano were packed with fans. However, accusing the media of having made noise does not reflect reality. The journalists covering Formula One rightly highlighted the immense joy and excitement of the supporters. They told the story of the passion and high expectations surrounding Ferrari, especially considering how the team finished the final races of the 2024 Formula One season. Nevertheless, it was the protagonists themselves who set the objectives, not the journalists. Charles Leclerc stated that he would be disappointed if they did not win at least one of the two titles. Meanwhile, Frederic Vasseur himself confirmed that they were starting with the goal of winning the championship, describing it as the next step and emphasizing that they were working in that direction. That is why it is too easy to backtrack when it becomes convenient. The potential of the Ferrari SF25 is very high. This is the belief of the entire team, which spends countless hours each week working at the Maranello factory. Confidence is important in life, as long as it is grounded in solid reasoning. According to information gathered and reported by the Italian media, the team is ready to push the accelerator. Nothing will be left to chance, starting from Japan. Next month, the first developments for the two Italian F1 cars will arrive. Updates will correct specific technical parameters, allowing the SF25 cars to perform at their best. This is the team's intention, with little doubt about the effort being made, convinced that hard work will pay off. And let's hope so, because the battle at the top is fierce. McLaren is not the only rival to beat. Red Bull's RB21, driven by Max Verstappen, as well as the two Mercedes of George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, are also serious contenders. George Russell has stepped into the role of mature leader after Lewis Hamilton's departure, while the young Italian driver shows no reverence toward his colleagues, keeps his foot down, and makes very few mistakes. However, Ferrari can no longer afford errors, neither with the upcoming updates nor in race execution. It is precisely on this last point that we focus the final thoughts of this article. Frederic Vasseur rightly highlighted a crucial aspect of the current technical regulations governing ground effect cars: the ability to fine-tune the car in order to extract maximum performance. This is absolutely true, and we have been saying it for 3 seasons now. The same applies to the confident, sometimes bold approach that Ferrari has taken. That's fine, but there is a however that must be considered. Even when optimizing every last bolt on the Ferrari SF25, the car's intrinsic potential remains decisive. If it is not on par with the frontrunners, over time, the goal fades. This is why a technical step forward is necessary. It is not always about whether a circuit suits the car's characteristics or not. Those who win are strong everywhere, or almost everywhere. The Ferrari team principal stated that a 7-second gap gained in just 1/3 of the race, referring to the sprint race, was perhaps the clearest demonstration of dominance among all the races so far. That's fine, Fred, but Max Verstappen was holding up the McLaren. Otherwise, Oscar Piastri would have set a much stronger pace. Understanding one's capabilities to maximize them is essential, but at the same time, another performance step is needed to fight on equal footing with Woking's team and the rest of the pack. On the other hand, Fred Vasseur's Ferrari has recently been compared to Mattia Binotto's in F1. Yes, this has happened too, especially in the aftermath of the double disqualification in China, an incident that left a lasting impact on the mind of the French manager. The pressure on Ferrari is part of the game. That's how it works in Italy and across the world when things go wrong. This is not just a local issue. This is precisely why, after the embarrassing disqualification in Shanghai, seeing both SF25 cars excluded from the final classification triggered an outcry that resonated far and wide. No Maranello supporter can accept such a situation, especially when it is worsened by statements like, "It will happen again," a clumsy attempt to reassure fans by appealing to the team's desire to win. A cheap excuse because the hunger for success can be a positive thing, provided it does not lead to unpleasant situations. Looking back, it is genuinely difficult to find evidence to the contrary. Taking a slap in the face and justifying it this way is unacceptable, just as the criticism fully deserved for the unfortunate outcome in Shanghai must be accepted. No offense to good old Mattia Binotto, who is often brought into the discussion. But at the end of the day, human nature tends to compare events. It's quite normal. Blame it on associative thinking. The fact is, there are several similarities between the Frenchman's excuses and those of Sauber's current boss. And we are not talking about celestial mechanics. No complex mathematical problems are needed to reach this conclusion. Frederic Vasseur could certainly have avoided the tiresome complaints about the media, which were based on irritation over fair criticism. It would likely have been much wiser to acknowledge the mistakes, take responsibility, promise maximum effort to prevent such situations from happening again, and, at the same time, prove on track that this setback was merely a bump in the road, something that, indeed, will not happen again. Did Frederic Vasseur's statements please the presidency? From what we know, not much. Why? Instead of calming the heated supporters, he actually fueled their anger. It would have been better to avoid this. Defending oneself is fine when there are valid reasons to do so. If not, one risks falling in the eyes of those who spend time, moment, and hope for Ferrari every week, with the real risk of being compared to a recent painful past. That being said, Binotto is an excellent technician. Mattia has worked in F1 for several decades, and if he is currently the boss of Sauber rather than the Italian team, it is partly because of that justifying and repeated attitude, combined with results that never supported his theories. This might be the core of the issue. In the last week, there has been a lot of talk about the Frenchman. Ferrari's team principal is certainly not having a happy time, as the historic team he leads has completely failed to meet expectations. Beyond the opinions expressed so far, there are some facts to be added. Lately, much has been said about Frederic Vasseur, especially his apparent lack of presence at the Maranello headquarters. There is a reason for all of this. According to the Italian media, we know that the reasons are not related to the supposed shaky seat, as, at least for the moment, the Frenchman enjoys full confidence from the top management. John Elkann continues to rely on Fred, especially considering the work plan for the coming months to regain competitiveness at the top of the category. The entrepreneur born in New York has received several reassurances regarding the short-term future of the team, which is ready to take the necessary step to return to the fight at the top in the 2025 Formula One racing campaign. Ferrari is not giving up and continues to nurture dreams of world titles. The judgment of the team principal remains the same, although Gianni Agnelli's grandson has advised a different attitude to avoid controversy. His absence from the sporting management, covered by Deputy Team Principal Jerome D'Ambrosio, is mainly due to back problems that require rest to resolve. Fred Vasseur remains firmly in charge of the Italian side, ready to lead Ferrari's efforts for the Japanese Grand Prix, the first of an important triple header. A competitive scenario where the Maranello team wants to take the first step in the right direction and improve the overall performance of the team.